Hello guys, and welcome to another video. In this video I'll be showing you guys how to set up multiple jumps in your games. So let's go ahead and create a capsule, and let's call this one player. And then we're going to go ahead and create a plane, and this should be the ground. And let's just set this down -1 unit. So let's run under the player. So go into the scripts folder here, and let's create a script. And let's just call this one jump. All right. And then let's open that with our favorite text editor. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this out for now. And I'm gonna make this bigger. All right, so let's go ahead and add some regions. We'll do one for public fields and one for private fields. All right, so for this part, I'm going to go ahead and add in the header attributes, and this is going to be for our jump settings. So for this, what we're going to need is the maximum allowed jumps. This is going to be an int, so we're going to say public int max allowed jumps. All right. Next, what we're going to need is the jump fall. So this is float. So I'm going to say public float, and this is going to be the jump false. All right, and then we're going to need the false mode, public false mode, false mode. All right, and then for our private settings, we are going to need the current number of jumps made. So we'll do private int m underscore current jumps made. So this is just going to be how we track the number of jumps we've made so far, right? So if it's not up to our maximum jump, which is the allowed jumps, then we can keep jumping. All right, next one is going to be a private boolean. This is going to be if the player started jumping. So if player jump started, all right, and then we're going to check to see if the player is grounded. So this is going to be another boolean. M underscore player grounded. Then we're gonna need one for when the space bar is pressed. So this is gonna be another boolean here. Gonna be underscore space key pressed. And then we're gonna need our rigid body. So this is gonna be private rigid body. Call it m underscore rb. And up top here, what we can do is add the required component. It's going to be type of and rigid body. And what this is going to do is just go ahead and add the rigid body on the object, so that if we forget to put one, it will do it for us. All right, so now I'm going to create another region, and this is going to be for the Unity. All right, Unity routines. All right, so in this case, we're going to use the await method, and we're going to initialize variables here. So for this, we're going to get our rigid body. So let's say m rb equals get component rigid body, and then we're going to make our m underscore player jump started equal to true. And I'll explain about this a little bit later. All right, we need to go ahead and collect our input, and for this we need the update method. So we'll do update. All right, and our m underscore space space key press is going to equal to input dot get key, and we're going to use the key code and space, right? So we're going to use the space bar. All right, so just gonna copy this right here, and I'll add in another region. And here we just collect keyboard input. All right, and then I can paste that back here. All right, so here we're collecting we're checking to see if the spacebar is pressed so we can initiate the jump. All right. Then we need the fixed update for physics. So I'm going to add in the fixed update here. And what we're going to do is actually jump, right? So I'll do another region, and we're going to apply jump to player, right? So we're going to say that if m underscore space key is pressed and m, so if the player started to jump, right, and m underscore player grounded, right, or the max allowed jump is greater than the current number of jumps, so the current number of jumps made, and then we can go ahead. So we can go ahead and jump if this is true. All right, so what I'm going to do is, let me just pull this down here. Okay, so we're going to say that if the spacebar is pressed and the player started jumping, then we can go ahead, right, and jump. The reason why I added this in here is because it's going to control if we press and hold the space bar. If we press and hold the space bar, I don't want the coroutine that I'm going to write that applies the jump to the player, right, to initiate and run again. I want this variable to control when this is pressed. So this has to be pressed in conjunction with this and in conjunction with this to actually apply the jump, okay? What we're going to do is we need our onCollision enter, all right? So here, I'm going to do onCollision enter, and we're not going to be using the other, so I am going to go ahead and take this off. All right, what we're going to do is determine the ground state of our player. So our region, we're going to determine grounded state of player. So in this case, what we're going to do is set grounded. So if player grounded is going to be equal to true, reset the number of jumps made. Because if the player is still on the ground, then there have made no jumps. So current number of jumps made is going to equal to 0. Write our jump function, because this right now is doing nothing, right? We need to write our jump function. So I'm going to go ahead and add in another region here. And this is going to be for helper routines. So in our helper routines, what we do is we need a jump method or a jump function. So I'm going to do a private void, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a player jump. The player jump is going to take our jump force. So I'm going to call this one up force, and then it's going to go ahead and take in a force mode. And for this, I'm going to call it force mode type. All right. For this, we're going to say that mrb dot add force, use our up force, right? Multiply it by the mass of the object. So we're going to say rb dot mass. Then we're going to multiply it by time dot delta time. And then we're going to multiply it by vector3 dot up, because we're going to be jumping in the upward direction. So vector3 dot up. And then we're going to pass in the force mode type. All right. I'm gonna go right here and it's gonna add in a summary. So for this, so this applies force to the player upward direction, right? Using and force mode type. All right, write our function that applies to jump. So I'm going to go ahead and create another private, and this is going to be of type iNumerator. So I'll do I apply jump, and this is going to take. So once the player hits the space button, we're going to initiate the jump. So here we're going to say player jump. We're going to pass in the jump force, and we're going to pass in the force mode here. M underscore player grounded is going to be set to false. And then we're going to set M player jump started is also going to be set to false, right? Because since this was true when we entered here, right? Because on start we set it to true. So once we enter here, we're going to set it to false. So if the player keeps pressing space bar, right, this is going to be false and it's not going to go into this if statement. So that means that our player is still going to be in the air, right? So if that's the case, what we're going to do is do a yield return a new wait until. All right, so we're going to wait until the space bar is no longer being pressed. All right, so if you just press and hold the space bar, I don't want you to keep adding a false in the upward direction. I want you to press the space bar, release it, and press it again before you can actually jump. So in this case, this takes in a predicate. So let's go ahead and pass in an empty one. And we're going to make sure that this is until the player stops jumping. So this is going to be until underscore, right? The space key is no longer being pressed. So this is going to be, so this has to be false, right? So that we can actually exit this. Now, what we need to do is set the number of jumps. So M underscore current number of jumps made. We're going to increment that by 1. And then we're going to set the player started jumping back to true. Because the jump has been completed, now we can go ahead and initiate the next jump, all right? Just go here and I'll add in a summary here. So this one just implements, so single / multiple jump. All right. So waits until jump input is released. So before the next jump is initiated. All right, so this is pretty much it, right? And then now what we need to do is call our coroutine. So we're going to say start coroutine, and we're going to use name of, and so we're going to pass in apply jump. All right, so with this set and done, probably it wants me to change this from, so I'm just going to change this to lowercase, and I'll take this here. All right, and let's go back into Unity, and we're gonna drag our script and we're gonna drop it on the player. All right, so now if you go to the player should have the jump script on the player here. So I'm gonna change the force mode to impulse, and the number of jumps is going to be, let's just do a single jump for now, and we're gonna set this to about let's say 200. Now hit play, and let's press the space bar. You can see that we press the space bar, we get that single jump. All right. All right, so now let's go back and to read body and go to constraints. All right, and we're gonna freeze it in the X and Z direction. And let's change this to 2 and try it again. So I'm gonna press the space bar twice. So I'm gonna press it one time and then another time. You can see that it does 2 jumps. But after testing this for a couple of times, you can see that at some point the second jump is gonna be less or it's gonna be way higher, right? And this is because time.delta time changes with every update, right? So what we can do is smooth out time.delta time and use something else. So in this case, we can go back to our code, and instead of using time.delta time in our applied jump here, what we're going to do is use time.smooth delta time. So what this is going to do is it's going to smooth out delta time for us, which is going to make our jumping a lot more consistent. Okay, so let's go back now and let's play this, and we can hit jump. You can see that the jump is much more consistent. So if I press this just one time, it's still going to do a single jump. If I press this twice, it's going to do a double jump. All right, so let's go here and let's add this up because it seems like the jump is way too short. So let's make this to about 250, and let's try this for 3. So you can set as many jumps as you want, right? So I'm going to press space, 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 and we have 3 jumps. Space, space, space. And if I press space after the 3rd time more time, it doesn't do anything. So space, space, space. All right, 3 jumps. And I'm going to go back here and set this to 4 jumps. And you should be able to do 4 jumps. So I'm going to do space, 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 space. And we have 4 jumps. Space, 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 space. Alright guys, this will be it for this tutorial. If you guys enjoy it, just leave me a like in the comments. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Have a great day. Bye-bye.